Hi everybody, it's Adam with HeartValveSurgery.com, and we're in Los Angeles, California at the Society of Thoracic Surgeons Conference. I am thrilled to be joined by Dr. Marc Gerdisch, who's the Chief of Cardiac Surgery at Franciscan Health in Indianapolis, Indiana. Dr. Gerdisch, you and I have known each other for over 10 years. You have successfully treated over 100 patients in our community. We're here at SDS, and as always, it is great to see you. Thanks for being with me today.
Thank you, Adam.
Yeah, so we're answering patient questions that are coming in from all over the world. This one's coming in from Rob, and he asks, I'm researching treatment options for mitral regurgitation. I also have atrial fibrillation. Do both approaches, surgery and transcatheter, have the same impact on my AFib?
So this is a great question because it goes to a couple of issues, and even one that we're solving right now in a randomized controlled study. But fundamentally, the question is whether a person should have a transcatheter intervention for their mitral regurgitation or not, because the atrial fibrillation should be treated. Now, if that person has paroxysmal atrial fibrillation, could they have a transcatheter mitral valve repair and then a transcatheter intervention for their AFib and a transcatheter intervention for their appendage? That is all true, but it might not make sense, and the outcome isn't going to be quite as good, quite honestly. So the reason I say that is because degenerative disease for mitral valves, which is probably what we're talking about, degenerative disease meaning that there are changes in the actual structure of the valve, and usually those are the folks who get atrial fibrillation because the leak is big and it causes distension of the atrium and they get atrial fibrillation. So if it's myxomatous degenerative disease, the percutaneous technology actually doesn't have a clearance for that. They have a clearance for patients who are extreme risk or considered too high risk for surgery. So in degenerative disease, that's a very rare thing. As you know, I mean, we'll do minimally invasive mitral valve repair on a 94-year-old. It's not, and they go back to riding their bike. It's not that the surgery can't be done. It's just a matter of kind of the overall risk stratification. My suspicion is that Rob probably is, fairly robust and probably can have heart surgery. So most likely the indication is only going to be there for heart surgery. The good news is that the atrial fibrillation can and should be treated. And it becomes very important because we know that survival is better for folks that have ablation. And it's best if they have ablation that's successful. So much so that in the Northwestern data, we saw several years ago that if you took patients who did or did not have their AFib treated, the folks who did have their AFib treated had the same survival curve as people who never had atrial fibrillation, whereas the people who had atrial fibrillation left untreated didn't do as well. In fact, this morning, we presented a video abstract of a patient who had received a MitraClip at another institution, and the clip had not worked out well. He had a very sick heart. He was a very sick person. But we had to address his continued leak from his mitral valve. So we actually removed the MitraClip. It had been in for 2 years, repaired his mitral valve or repaired his mitral valve. He also had severe tricuspid insufficiency, and we repaired the tricuspid insufficiency. And then he had atrial fibrillation for over a decade, which we also addressed successfully. So now he's in sinus rhythm. Both of his valves work. His ventricles recovering. He's not as sick as he used to be. He's living a good life. So it's important that people understand in the context of these multi-valve scenarios and when accompanied by atrial fibrillation, the entirety of it should be treated. So to answer the question, the valve is most likely going to be successfully treated if it's myxomatous with a surgery. And secondly, the atrial fibrillation absolutely should be addressed because it goes to survivability over time.
Great. Well, Rob, I hope that helped you. It helped me, Dr. Gerdisch. It's helping patients all over the world. And on behalf of them, thanks for everything that you and your team are doing at Franciscan Health in Indianapolis, Indiana. Thanks for being with me today.
Thanks, Adam.
Hi, everybody. It's Adam. I hope you enjoyed that video. And don't forget, you can always subscribe to our YouTube channel, watch the next 2 educational videos coming up on your screen, or click the blue button to visit HeartValveSurgery.com.